Hello and thank you, Professor Almendral, for this interview. So, uh, as you probably know, I am working on this capstone project, which is about first year seminar. It's going to be a guide for first year seminar instructors, um, learning more about the first year seminar courses, how it impacts first generation students, and how we can introduce institutional policies into the first year seminar course.
Excellent.
If if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Caterina Almendral. I'm a professor within the education program at LaGuardia Community College. I teach first year seminar students and have been for quite a number of years. And I work closely with the first year seminar.
Thank you. So, as a professor working within the education program, I do have a couple of questions based on your experience and what you have witnessed within students within the first year seminar. The first question is, what challenges do first generation students face in your classroom?
I would say the amount of new information they encounter and or the variability in prior knowledge and expectations. When they come into the first year seminar, they're generally at the start of their programs or within the first 9 credits. So they're navigating quite a few systems over time. So they have to understand how to help seek, which offices to go to for which information, understand college and the expectations, think about co-curricular activities. So there's a lot of information that they're being presented with and just varied uh, degree of understanding and prior knowledge. So you're trying to support students in all of these areas.
Thank you. So, I have another question. How do you currently teach or explain college systems such as registration or academic policies within your classroom?
Well, in terms of academic policies, we actually generally approach it through games. It draws their attention to it. It's a rather user-friendly way. We draw their attention to certain parts of the catalog, like academic requirements and policies, as well as other policies. So it gives them an opportunity to one see where they can go to find out more about the policies, and play some games so they can test their knowledge either through Jeopardy or Kahoots or different things. And then we talk about it. So it gives the opportunity to have the discussion of why they might have selected a certain response or why one response was the correct one above and beyond another that students might not expect, as well as to talk about registration. We actually just had that conversation, so there's a lot going on there. We make them degree plan from wherever they are at the point that they enter the first year seminar to the end of their degree, but we also get them to think about careers and transfer. So in terms of how we support that, we get them to think backwards a bit, like where would you like to go? Have you thought about transfer? Because where they plan to transfer to impacts the courses that they register for. So we have that conversation as well. And then actually we look at it. We're like, okay, let's plan your courses from now to graduation to see the time frame. We look at their degree audit and their degree map, as well as saying like, hey, go back to take a look at the articulation agreements for places that you're thinking of transferring to, or if take a look at if you haven't decided yet, look at where it varies. So it helps you decide, for example, what flexible core courses to take. It comes into play largely there. Um, and it just helps them think about different things. Like we're the education program. So we'll say, okay, let's talk fieldwork, what that involves as you're planning your schedule. Have you thought about how many fieldwork hours you'll hold in addition to the number of courses that you're registering for? Have you considered that our education program courses are largely given in the long session? We have 2 sessions. Session 1 is 12 weeks, session 2 is 6 weeks. So there's a lot of conversation taking place, from time management to what this involves. I mean, a lot of times students don't are unfamiliar with the fieldwork requirement. Maybe they've heard about it, but they don't really know what it involves, including the fingerprinting component and required documentation. So what does that look like? So you mentioned the word registration, and I feel that I think when students come to it, it seems simple. I will register for a class, but there's quite a lot involved in the registration process that we want them to think about. And again, including things like financial aid. How many classes do you have to hold? What would be reasonable expectations? Is this a feasible number of courses for you? Have you thought about what courses are writing intensive, which generally means they're reading intensive? And do they come also with the field work? Are they only given in certain sessions? So when would you like to graduate? Is that possible? What does that look like? So they can take ownership of their experience and are familiar with it and can be engaged in that conversation. So when they meet with an education program advisor, peer advisor, their professional advisor, they understand a bit more of the conversation, can help direct or can direct where they're going. Think about which classes they would like to take as opposed as rather than just being assigned to a particular course. And I feel like there's so much more there, but that's a start.
I appreciate that. And I know you had spoken a little bit about this, but what are some confusing things for students when taking the first year seminar course?
I would say all of the things that we just discussed. Um, Certainly, I mentioned that we get them to think about transfer and articulation agreements. So we actually look at them and start to think about like, what's that 2 by 2 model? How would your courses transfer over? How might these agreements or programs like CUNY TREX or the transfer what if help you think about